Shumu participated. Shumu woke up to find herself on a big bed in a hotel room. She remembered ranting about her roommate with Zhao Yusi last night. Suddenly, Sieshu walked out. He asked if Shumu had forgotten everything. Shumu felt like she had amnesia, unable to remember anything. Sieshu handed her a set of clothes to change into and said he would take her home. Shumu asked if she had changed into the clothes herself last night, and Sieshu said no. On the way home, Shumu kept thinking about what happened last night. She remembered saying that if Sieshe weren't so sharp tongued and strict at work, he would actually be a good person. Shumu then swore she would never badmouth him again. When she opened her phone, she saw a photo of the two of them. Shumu remembered that last night she had drunkenly pulled Sieshe's tie and told him he looked good, then took a photo together. Shumu had even posted the photo on her social media, and her friends were all commenting on how well she kept secrets. After returning home, Shumu called Song Nyanyan. Song Nyanyan suggested that Shumu prepare some wedding candies and distribute them to her colleagues the next day. Shumu told her to stop talking about it, but Song Nyanyan said it wasn't necessarily a bad thing. At least for now, it didn't seem to be. The next day, as soon as Shumu arrived at the company, team leader Liao started praising her for doing a good job keeping secrets. Just as Shumu was about to explain, Zhang Zhou arrived. Team leader Liao had Shumu sit next to Zhang Zhou to report her work. Shumu felt extremely embarrassed and rushed out as soon as the meeting ended. Zhang Zhou called after her, but Shumu said that because she got drunk, they shouldn't spend time together for a while. Chumu felt sorry for Zhang Zhou and suggested buying him a coffee. They went to a coffee shop, and Shumu asked Zhang Zhou to wait while she bought the coffee. While buying coffee, Shumu ran into her ex-boyfriend, who invited her to a gathering. Shumu thought it was fine for them to be together against the odds, but she wouldn't go to the gathering. Her ex-boyfriend insulted her, saying his current girlfriend was prettier and richer than her. Shumu felt he was joking and said she had changed her mind. She would attend the wedding and show them how self confident she was. Just then, Zhang Zhou came over. Shumu's ex boyfriend recognized him as her new boyfriend and invited them both to the gathering and his future wedding. After he left, Zhang Zhou asked Shumu what to do about the gathering. Shumu said she would think of a solution. Zhang Zhou told her that his parents would return to the country in a few days and that Chenxi had told them he was dating her. His family wanted him to bring Shumu to dinner. Jiangju proposed that Shumu accompany him to dinner and he would go with her to the gathering. This way, they would be helping each other. Shenyi's boss asked him to accompany the editor-in-chief of Limited Time Love, Song Jingsin, and said he would be there shortly. Upon hearing it was Song Jingsin, Shenyi asked his supervisor if someone else could go. The supervisor told him not to be picky. Song Nyanyan informed Supervisor Zhao that her work would be handed over to Shenyi. Although Shenyi was very reluctant, he had to comply for the sake of his bank account. Shumu and Song Nyanyan were having coffee at One Week Cafe, which was co-owned by Zhang Zhou and Shenyi. Shenyi told Zhang Zhou to come quickly as Song Nyanyan was bad-mouthing him. Song Nyanyan agreed to sign a contract with Shenyi's company, and Shenyi repeatedly confirmed it with her to be sure. Chieshu saw Shumu walk out in a white dress and was stunned. Shumu asked if he could help her put on a necklace, as she had been struggling with it at home for a long time. Xieshu took the necklace and helped her put it on. Chumu urged Xieshu to hurry up so they wouldn't be late. When they arrived at the restaurant, Shumu mentioned she was very nervous about meeting his family for the first time. Xieshu told her not to worry and to just follow his lead. Shumu said she didn't want to follow him closely or everyone's attention would be on her. So Xieshu suggested she go up first while he parked the car. As soon as Shumu arrived, she ran into Chenxi. Chenxi asked how long she and Xieshu had been together. Shumu told her it was almost their first anniversary. Chenxi was furious, questioning how Xieshu could like someone like Shumu. Shumu replied that she didn't know what type Xieshu liked, but it definitely wasn't Chenxi's type. This made Chenxi's face turn green with anger, just as someone called her name. Turning around, Shumu bumped into the man she had gone on a blind date with before. He asked if she was also here with a free ticket, explaining that everyone here was a big shot and he had pulled many strings to get in. Considering their past blind date, he offered to introduce her to some people, saying he was here for Jang Jo, the director of the company. Shumu made an excuse to leave and called Song Nyanyan to tell her about it. Song Nyanyan said she had long noticed that Jang Jo was different from others. Just then, Jang Jo arrived after parking his car. Chen Shi, seeing Jang Jo standing beside Shumu, was displeased and went over to chat with Shumu's former blind date. Xieshu then introduced Shumu to his aunt. Xieshu's aunt thought Shumu was too thin and asked if it was because she was busy working overtime with Xieshu. She mentioned that if it weren't for Chenshi telling her, Xieshu would still be hiding his relationship from her. She wondered if she was so intimidating that Xieshu was afraid she would bully Shumu. She also remarked that Xieshu wasn't likable and hadn't had a single girlfriend for so many years, only a boy with the surname Shen, implying something before Xieshu interrupted her. Before they could say much, Chenshi came over and asked Shumu if their relationship had been sweet after more than a year. Xieshu's aunt then asked who had pursued whom. To avoid embarrassing Shumu, Xieshu said he had pursued Shumu. His aunt felt that a girl who could make Xieshu take the initiative must be extraordinary. Chenshi pretended to let something slip and mentioned that Shumu was still going on blind dates last month. Xieshu then said it was his fault, as he had been too busy with work and neglected Shumu's feelings. He explained that he had returned to the country to reconnect with Shumu and confessed that he had liked her from the moment he first saw her but hadn't had the chance to express his feelings. Shumu knew Xieshu was helping her out, but she didn't know he was speaking the truth. Later, Xieshu and Shumu took a walk on the beach together. Shumu received a call from her mother, who asked why she hadn't mentioned she was in a relationship and told her to bring her boyfriend home the next day. If Shumu wasn't in a relationship, her mother said she should continue with blind dates. Not wanting to go on blind dates, Shumu told her mother she was already in a relationship. Xieshu overheard their conversation and proposed a solution. He explained that he didn't have time to meet other girls because of work, and career advancement considered both work ability and family stability. Since Shumu didn't want to go on blind dates either, he suggested they sign a dating contract. Shumu and Song Nyanyan were out for a walk when they saw Shani driving. They mistakenly thought Shani was working as a part-time driver, but it was actually his father returning his car to him. Shumu's roommate had let a friend sleep in Shumu's bedroom, which made Shumu very angry, and they had a big argument. Just then, Xieshu and Shumu's mother arrived and witnessed the scene. Both Shumu's mother and Xieshu felt that Shumu needed a new roommate. Xieshu suggested that she move in with him. Sumo told Song Nyanyan that ever since she started the thing with Xieshu, her mother hadn't pressured her anymore. A few days ago, her mom even asked her which travel group was better. Song Nyanyan thought this was great, saying it gave both Shumu and herself a break. She asked how things were going between Shumu and Xieshu, and Shumu said they were going well. The two were shopping at the supermarket when Shumu picked up 2 bags of chips, asking Song Nyanyan which one to choose. One had nice packaging, and the other had a catchy slogan. Song Nyanyan told her not to hesitate and threw both bags into the cart, telling Shumu she'd pay for them. Xieshu and Shani were also shopping at the supermarket. Shani asked Xieshu why he moved in with Shumu if they were just dating. He wondered how he would hang out with Xieshu if Shumu started being strict with him. Xieshu told him to go hang out with Song Nyanyan instead. Shani said he couldn't imagine how Xieshu dated or acted affectionate with Shumu. He asked if Xieshu called Shumu wife in private. Xieshu told him to find a girlfriend himself if he was so curious. Shani said it was his first time seeing Xieshu in a relationship, so he was naturally curious. As they pushed their shopping cart, they ran into Shumu and Song Nyanyan. Seeing Shani's cart full of groceries, Song Nyanyan asked if he could cook since he bought so many ingredients. Xieshu said those were his, and Song Nyanyan commented to Shumu that her boyfriend was quite domestic. Shani saw that Song Nyanyan's cart was full of snacks and asked if she could eat all that junk food. Shumu said they were hers, and Shani remarked to Xieshu that his girlfriend had quite the appetite. When Sieshu and Shumu returned home, Sieshu started putting things in the fridge and the doorbell rang. Shumu quickly answered it, finding a property management worker who asked if Mr. Jiang was home. He inquired about Shumu's relationship with Mr. Jiang. Before Shumu could reply, Sieshu said she was his girlfriend. Sieshu explained that since he traveled frequently for work, he added Shumu to the owners group chat so she could contact property management if needed. As soon as Shumu joined the group, property management asked her to update her notes. So Shumu changed her name to resident of 1202. The people in the group chat started commenting, saying the owner of 1202 had already moved in a while ago. Someone else asked if she was Jieshi's girlfriend. Another person guessed she must be his wife since she was added to the owner's group chat. Sieshu explained that he often traveled for work and didn't want to miss any important messages, so he added Shumu. Shumu suggested he should reply to each message individually to avoid misunderstandings, but Sieshu told her to explain herself if needed. Shumu checked the group messages and decided to leave it be. Sieshu then told her that a friend he hadn't seen in a while would be visiting their home this week, and she could meet them casually. Shumu felt a bit nervous, but Sieshu told her not to worry. When Sieshu's friends arrived, Shumu asked what she should call him. Sieshu said to use the same term as last time. Shumu thought for a moment and blurted out, husband. Sieshu's friends were stunned and commented on how sweet they were, saying it was impressive they were so affectionate even after being together for a short time. After Sieshu's friends left, Song Nyanyan sent Shumu a message saying that a friend of hers was organizing a couples event at Bohai Bay and invited them to join for free, promising to pair them with a handsome guy. Shumu asked if she should tell Sieshu, and Song Nyanyan questioned if they were at the point of reporting their schedules to each other. Shumu decided to tell Sieshu, and Sieshu, who overheard, said he would go with her tomorrow. Shumu mentioned there would be another guy, so Sieshu said he would handle it and called Shanyi. The four of them arrived at Bohai Bay, and the organizers arranged 2 rooms with king-sized beds. Shani suggested he share a room with Song Nyanyan, saying Shumu and Sieshu shouldn't be separated. Both Shumu and Song Nyanyan objected, so Sieshu proposed that the 2 girls share a room. Shumu and Sieshu participated in the couple's event and won first place. Song Nyanyan teased them, saying it was funny how a fake couple like them beat all the real couples. Shumu asked Sieshu if he had any regrets, and Sieshu said he had many. Sieshu was jealous that Shumu had a dream about a handsome guy the previous night. Shumu tried to discuss the project plan with him, but Sieshu refused to look at it. Shumu hurriedly followed him to the elevator to talk. Unexpectedly, they ran into Sieshu's colleagues who had come to meet him. Shumu awkwardly greeted them before leaving. During the meeting, a colleague told Sieshu that the proposal from Shangshin was heavily promoted because they wanted to replace the next partner company with theirs. After reviewing it, Sieshu thought it was a mess. Team leader Liao looked dejected that morning. Colleagues and Shumu asked him what was wrong, and he said that Liji announced that morning that they might not consider their future work anymore. Team leader Liao said he heard that Liji didn't even look at their proposal. Zhao Yusi was furious, questioning why they would treat Shumu like this after all her hard work. Shumu remembered what Sieshu had said in the morning. Team leader Liao asked if things were okay between Shumu and Zhang Zhou. Shumu said the rejection might be because of her. Shumu went home and called Song Nyanyan, saying she only teased him a little and he wouldn't even look at the proposal. Song Nyanyan asked what she would do, and Shumu said she'd try to make it up to him. Just then, Sieshu returned. Shumu had prepared a lavish meal to please him. Shumu boasted that her dishes looked, smelled, and tasted great. Sieshu remarked that her skill at lying had improved. Shumu took a bite to show him, but immediately spat it out. Sieshu said he understood what she was trying to do and revealed that he had just learned about the proposal being rejected. It was all the company's doing, and he was investigating it. He asked Shumu not to tell anyone else to avoid further complications. Shumu realized she had misunderstood Sieshu and offered to give him a massage, but he refused. Song Nyanyan's script received feedback that the romance parts were too naive and needed improvement. Shumu asked when Song Nyanyan had so much dating experience, and Song Nianyan replied that she had seen many romance genres. Jumu said those weren't real people and suggested Song Nianyan go experience a real romance. Song Nianyan asked with whom she should date, saying her expectations for romance had diminished. She felt there were too few good men in real life. Shumu insisted that there were good men out there and asked if Song Nianyan really wasn't interested. Song Nianyan said she didn't mind, noting that no guy had ever wanted to date her since she was young. Shumu said that was their loss and suggested Song Nianyan watch some romance movies to learn. Song Nianyan watched movies at Sheni's coffee shop until closing time when Sheni suddenly appeared in front of her. Song Nianyan asked if he would like her if he were a guy. Sheni asked what she meant by if he were a guy. Song Nianyan explained that if she had been in a relationship, she wouldn't be criticized for writing unromantic scripts. Sheni then realized Song Nianyan had never dated anyone and suggested she ask someone with experience like him. After hearing his lengthy explanation, Song Nianyan thought she might as well watch Korean dramas at home. Shani told her there was a quicker way. He would help her experience dating, and they started doing some couple activities. Chu Mu's rival, Fang Jingjing, requested to join their team. Fang Jingjing originally wanted to work with Li Ji, but unexpectedly, Li Ji decided not to renew their contract after she joined. Chu Mu and Fang Jingjing went out to discuss business and coincidentally ran into Zieshu at the same restaurant. Fang Jingjing assumed Shu Mu and Xieshu had broken up and told Xieshu that old relationships should end to make way for new ones. Xieshu replied that while things might be classified as old or new, his girlfriend was distinct from ordinary people. Xieshu had resolved the proposal issue, and Li Ji's subsequent work would still be handled by Shu Mu. Team leader Liao happily announced this news to everyone. Shu Mu prepared dinner and bought a cake, waiting for Xieshu to come home. Song Nenyan was pacing back and forth in front of Sheni's coffee shop, hesitating whether to go in and apologize to Sheni. She felt it wasn't necessary to make a special trip, but then she thought that if something happened to Sheni, the police would probably come looking for her. With that thought, she walked in. Sheni asked why she was there. Song Nianyan said she was looking for Shumu but called Shani when she couldn't reach her. Shani asked why she called him if she was looking for Shumu. Embarrassed, Song Nianyan said she would leave since Shumu wasn't there. Shani told her to stay and offered her a drink. Song Nianyan insisted she wouldn't tell him she was there to apologize. Shani admitted he was wrong too and shouldn't have acted that way. Song Nianyan said she was also at fault and shouldn't have imposed her thoughts on others. Shani was about to explain his troubles when Song Nianyan interrupted, saying she understood. Just then, Shani's phone rang. Shani's father arrived outside the coffee shop, prompting Shani to quickly turn off the lights and hide with Song Nianyan. After his father left, Shani turned the lights back on. Song Nianyan noticed many design sketches and asked what they were. Shani explained it was a small business venture he was working on. Song Nianyan realized this was why Shani was avoiding his father. Shani then showed her a half-finished guide dog prototype he had been working on. He asked Song Nianyan to look at his guide dog prototype. Song Nianyan asked if this was the reason he insisted on working there. Shani explained that he had wanted to work on this project since college, but his father had secretly changed his major to finance. Song Nianyan told Shani he was impressive and that she thought the intelligent guide dog was pretty cool. When Xieshu got home, he found Shumu asleep while waiting for him with a table full of delicious food. Xieshu picked up a note from the table on which Shumu had written her gratitude for helping her get her job back. The next morning, Xieshu made 2 breakfasts and told Shumu to eat quickly and not worry about cleaning up. Shumu asked why he came home so late the previous night and if he had tried the cake. She mentioned she hadn't tasted it because she was too tired. Xieshu then took Shumu's cake from the fridge. Shumu asked where they were going later, and Xieshu said they were going to their high school. Shumu mentioned she had been there many times but never went inside. Xieshu said he had business there and offered to take her along. They arrived at their high school campus and reminisced about their high school days. Chumu ran into her former advanced math teacher, Mr. Zhang, who remembered how she cried in his office for an entire class period because she couldn't understand math. Mr. Zhang asked when they were getting married, saying he was waiting for their wedding banquet. Chumu asked how he knew, and Mr. Zhang said all the teachers in the office knew from her social media posts. They went to their old classroom, and Chumu was surprised to find that the desks and chairs hadn't changed over the years. She said sitting next to Zieshu was very stressful. When Zieshu asked for examples, Chumu explained that she couldn't leave her seat during breaks because it would get taken over by others who wanted to talk to Zieshu about homework. She also mentioned that everyone piled their assignments on her desk because they didn't want to crowd Zieshu's desk. Chumu told Zieshu that her seat had good feng shui. After he left, another popular student took the seat. This new student had a very different personality from Jieshu but looked quite similar and was also a top student. Jieshu asked if it was a boy or girl, and Shumu said it was a boy. When Jieshu asked if she also sat next to this new boy, Shumu replied that without Jieshu's presence, she was moved to the last row. While Jieshu was on a business trip, Shumu participated in a cake baking activity in their community. During the activity, two neighbors asked if Shumu was Jieshu's wife. Shumu said she was still his girlfriend. One of the neighbors took a photo of Shumu and posted it in the neighborhood group chat, saying that Jieshu's girlfriend was participating in an activity for the first time and asking everyone to take good care of her. Shumu was sitting on the sofa looking at illustrations when Jieshu asked her when she became interested in them. Shumu explained that it was because a new round of promotions for their company was coming up. They wanted to avoid using celebrities and were considering illustrators for marketing, as illustrations were quite popular at the moment. She was looking for inspiration. Zieshu thought her idea was great, and Shumu thanked him for the compliment. In a meeting, Shumu shared her idea with her colleagues, and team leader Liao also thought it was a good idea. He asked if Shumu knew any illustrators who were both popular and fit their theme. Shumu suggested Zhang Yao, whom she had followed for some time. Her colleagues knew of Zhang Yao but had never met him. Upon hearing this, Fang Jingjing sarcastically remarked that she thought Shumu and Zhang Yao knew each other, implying Shumu wasn't capable. Fang Jingjing then mentioned she could contact the illustrator Luo Xiaoxiao, who was within their budget and had a similar style to Zhang Yao. Team leader Liao approved and asked Shumu and Fang Jingjing to contact Luo Xiaoxiao together. When they finished work, it started raining. Shumu noticed someone without an umbrella holding a painting. She gave her umbrella to that person and shared an umbrella with a colleague. The person wanted to thank Shumu, but she told him it was just an umbrella and no thanks were needed. Song Nyanyan showed her revised script to the screenwriter, who was very pleased with her changes. The screenwriter asked where she found the inspiration, and Song Nyanyan said it was from a friend's story. The screenwriter encouraged her to continue with this feeling, confident the audience would love it. Song Nyanyan later told Shumu that she had incorporated her experiences with Shani into the script and received positive feedback. Shumu asked Zhao Yusi about the progress with Luo Xiaoxiao. Zhao Yusi told her that Luo Xiaoxiao had cancelled on them. Shumu asked when this happened and why she wasn't informed. Zhao Yusi said she found out that morning. Sumu, looking dejected, was approached by Fang Jingjing, who guessed it was because Luo Xiaoxiao wasn't coming. Zhao Yusi speculated about who might have sabotaged them, while Fang Jingjing reminded Shumu that she was supposed to handle the follow-up. Team leader Liao arrived, and Fang Jingjing informed him of the situation. He told Shumu to find a backup illustrator or try to talk to Luo Xiaoxiao again, pretending to give it another shot herself. Shumu stayed late at the office, working hard to find a suitable illustrator. Zhang Yao received Shumu's message and recognized her name. Zhang Yao agreed to meet with Shumu, who was thrilled. She excitedly told Xieshu about it, hugging him as he walked through the door. Xieshu smiled happily. The next day, Shumu dressed up to meet Zhang Yao. Xieshu asked if Zhang Yao was a man. Shumu replied that she had never met Zhang Yao but thought, based on his Weibo, that he was a woman. After a pause, Xieshu told her to be careful. At the meeting place, Shumu realized that Zhang Yao was the person she had given the umbrella to the other day. Shumu expressed her surprise, and Zhang Yao pointed out that their meeting was planned. Shumu handed over her project proposal, but Zhang Yao said he trusted her without needing to read it. Their cooperation was thus agreed upon. Xieshu was at home when the doorbell rang. Thinking it was Shumu, he happily opened the door, only to find Shen Yi. At the company, Fang Jingjing sarcastically asked Shumu if she had found a new illustrator. Shumu confidently replied that she had found Zhang Yao. As Shumu and Zhang Yao's meetings increased, Xieshu started to feel jealous. Meanwhile, the relationship between Shen Yi and Song Nianyan was also progressing. Shen Yi had just bought a drink when he saw Song Nianyan arrive wearing the same color shirt as him, making him stop in his tracks. Song Nianyan asked if he noticed their clothes looked similar, to which Shen Yi replied that they must be wearing couples' outfits. Song Nianyan casually remarked that it didn't matter since they wore the same uniforms back in high school anyway. The two went to watch a movie together. After the movie, Sheni asked if she thought being compatible or being in love was more important. Song Nianyan felt that the two weren't mutually exclusive and wondered why they couldn't choose someone they liked and who was also compatible. Sheni said that having both was challenging since finding someone compatible was already hard enough. Song Nianyan disagreed, saying it wasn't difficult. She thought they both had the compatibility part down and now just needed to find love. She didn't finish her sentence and quickly left. Shani chased after her, asking why she was walking so fast and pointing out she hadn't finished speaking. Meanwhile, Shumu and Zhang Yao were discussing their project plans when Xieshi and his colleague came by for some work. Xieshi's colleague pointed out that the guy next to Shumu was the same one who had lunch with her previously. Hearing this, Xieshi went over to find Shumu. Zhang Yao invited Shumu to dinner after work, but just then, Xieshi called out to her. Shumu introduced them to each other and her phone rang. Shumu stepped out to take the call, and Xieshi suggested Zhang Yao explore the many fun places around if he had time. Zhao Yusi mentioned to Zhang Yao that Xieshi's girlfriend was a long-time fan of his. Upon hearing this, Zhang Yao invited Xieshi and his girlfriend to his art exhibition. Zhao Yusi pointed out Shumu, who was not far away, and told Zhang Yao that she was Xieshi's girlfriend. Xieshi asked Shumu if Zhang Yao had invited her to dinner. Shumu confirmed, but said she hadn't answered before Xieshi called her. While shopping at the supermarket, they came across some cake samples. Shumu tried one and liked it, wanting to buy some. Xieshi reminded her that their fridge was already full and they wouldn't be able to finish it all. The cake vendor commented that a girlfriend should be pampered, saying, "A good wife brings fortune." Hearing this, Xieshi happily bought a box of cakes. Song Nianyan planned to ask Sheni out for dinner, but Supervisor Zhao wouldn't let Sheni leave at the end of the day. Sheni said he had plans, but Supervisor Zhao dismissed him, saying he couldn't have anything important to do. Song Nianyan witnessed this and remarked that Supervisor Zhao seemed to be the most idle person in the company. Annoyed, Supervisor Zhao retorted that he didn't know who would read novels written by someone with such a temper as hers. Song Nianyan shot back, saying her readers wouldn't be someone who exploited employees like him. Infuriated, Supervisor Zhao yelled that just because she could write a few lousy books didn't mean she was special, and threatened to replace her. Shen Yi, unable to tolerate this any longer, asked if Supervisor Zhao believed he could get him fired. Supervisor Zhao scoffed, asking who Shani thought he was and if he believed he owned the company. Shani handed him some documents, revealing evidence of Supervisor Zhao's abuse of power and corruption. Supervisor Zhao angrily asked if Shani was trying to rebel, declaring he would fire both Shani and Song Nianyan. Before he could finish, Assistant Zhang from the chairman's office arrived, saying the chairman had been trying to call and sent him to check in. Supervisor Zhao thought the call was for him, but Assistant Zhang clarified it wasn't. It turned out Shen Yi was the chairman's son. Hearing this, Supervisor Zhao turned pale. Zhang Yao wanted to invite Shumu to dinner, but Xieshi booked a restaurant and invited everyone, including Zhang Yao. During dinner, Shumu's mother called on video chat. Xieshi told his colleagues he needed to step out with Shumu. After the call, Shumu commented on Xieshi's improving acting skills, noting that without it, her mother would have figured out they were pretending. Zhang Yao overheard this conversation. Meanwhile, Xieshu's childhood friend Chao Nan returned, and Fang Jingjing resumed her sarcastic remarks towards Shumu. Shumu was setting up the art exhibition at the event venue when Zhang Yao arrived. Shumu mentioned that she wasn't ready yet and asked why he had arrived early. Zhang Yao replied that it was his first time organizing an art exhibition at a homestay, so he came early to take a look. Zhang Yao said it looked pretty good, and Xiexue arrived with Chaonan. Zhang Yao accidentally got bumped, and Shu Mu quickly showed concern, asking if he was okay. This scene was seen by Xiexue, and Chaonan asked if he wanted to go over. Xiexue replied that they should focus on work first. Shumu asked Zhang Yao if he had ever thought about where to hold his first illustration exhibition. Zhang Yao said he had considered an art museum or a park, but didn't expect to hold it at a homestay, which he found quite interesting. Just as they exchanged a few words, Zhao Yusi called Shumu over for something, and Shumu said goodbye to Zhang Yao. While fixing the leg of an easel, Shumu overheard Chaonan mention that Xieshu had left his clothes at her house last time. She watched them leave together, feeling dejected. Chumu asked Xieshu if Chaonan had always worked at the headquarters. Xieshu said yes, Chaonan had been there longer than he had. Shumu was about to ask about him and Chaonan when Xieshu's phone rang. It turned out there was an issue with the tour exhibition. After the call, Xieshu asked Shumu what she was about to say. Shumu said it was nothing and asked him to take her home and then go attend to his work. Song Nianyan and Shen Yi, to celebrate their 15th day together, invited Xieshu and Sumu to join them for a camping trip. Unexpectedly, they ran into Chaonan during the camping trip, who happened to be Sheni's cousin. Sheni invited her to join them. Chaonan told Xieshu that she wanted to treat him to a meal, thanking him for taking her mother to the hospital last time. Sheni shared some grilled skewers he had cooked, but everyone found them unappetizing. Chaonan suggested that if Shani's grilling wasn't good, they should eat the skewers Zieshu had grilled. Just as Zieshu was about to drink, Chaonan stopped him, asking if he could drink. Zieshu said it was fine and then stopped Shumu, telling her to drink less because it was chilly at night. Shumu, however, was a bit upset and told Zieshu it was fine, then started drinking. Zieshu said he would get her a blanket. While he was gone, their classmates mentioned seeing in Zieshu's diary that he had liked a girl for a long time and had been rejected when he confessed. Hearing this, Shumu felt even more downcast and quietly picked up an orange to eat. When the event ended, Song Nianyan suggested she and Shumu stay together for the night, letting Zieshu and Shani share a room. Chaonan asked why they weren't staying together since they were a couple. Song Nianyan replied that she missed Shumu and wanted to stay with her. Song Nianyan asked Shumu what was wrong, and Shumu confided that Xieshu hadn't come home that night because he was at Chaonan's house. Song Nianyan asked if Shumu had fallen for Xieshu, and Shumu said maybe she had just gotten used to being his girlfriend. Shumu and Chaonan went on a business trip to a mountain homestay, and Zhang Yao also came along. Shumu caught a cold, and Zhang Yao considerately brought her some cold medicine, saying he needed to talk to her. They had barely spoken when an earthquake struck, and they quickly took cover. Zieshu saw the news about the earthquake in Shumu's location and immediately tried to call her, but couldn't get through. He hurried to where Shumu was, but overheard her and Zhang Yao in a room together. At that moment, Shani called him to check on Chaonan. As Zieshu helped Chaonan out, Shumu saw them. Shumu told Zieshu that she wanted to terminate their agreement because having someone she liked was making this situation too ridiculous, and she felt very agitated. Xiexue apologized, saying he hadn't realized their arrangement was causing her distress. Xiexue assumed Shumu liked Zhang Yao, so he agreed to her proposal. The next day, Shumu packed her things and prepared to leave, taking one last look at everything in the house as if saying goodbye. Shumu went to find Song Nianyan just as her mother called, wanting to see Xieshu. Shumu told her it wasn't possible anymore because they had broken up. Song Nianyan said that he definitely wanted to confess to Shumu, and Shumu told her to keep her voice down. Song Nianyan said it was fine because Sheni had gone to the studio and wasn't home. Unexpectedly, Sheni came out of the room the next second. Songnyanyan asked why he was home, but hadn't made any noise, and Sheni said he wanted to finish cleaning before going out. Shani asked if Shumu had been confessed to, and Shumu said no, they just watched a movie together. Shani called Sieshi, telling him that right after he and Shumu broke up, someone confessed to her. Sieshi asked if it was Zhang Yao, and Shani said it seemed to be that name. After hearing this, Sieshi felt irritated and wanted to hang up, but Shani told him that Shumu didn't accept the confession. After hanging up, Sieshi wanted to call Shumu but hesitated. He looked at his cat and asked if he should go see her, and Mo Fang meowed. Sieshi got up to go see Shumu, but just then his phone rang with a company issue and he had to go on a business trip. Shumu received a call from her mother, who was introducing her to another blind date. Shumu said she wasn't interested in dating and wouldn't meet anyone. When she got to work, Shumu heard her colleagues discussing a director with the last name Jiang who was getting engaged and that he had already gone abroad to arrange the engagement. Shumu was so stunned that she spilled coffee on her hand without noticing. Song Nyanyan called her, saying Sheni's research results were out and invited her to celebrate together. Song Nyanyan mentioned that Sieshe had gone abroad, so Shumu should come without worries. Remembering what she had just heard, Chumu became more convinced that the news about Sieshu's engagement was true. Songnyanyan noticed Chumu's low spirits and asked what was wrong. Chumu said she heard that Sieshu was getting engaged and that Chaunan had also gone abroad. She felt that marrying anyone would be the same now. The next day, Shumu agreed to the blind date arranged by her mother, intending to get married. Unexpectedly, her blind date was Sieshu. Shumu asked why he was there. Sieshi said, just like her. Shumu asked if he was engaged to Chaunan a few days ago, and Sieshi explained it was Director Jiang from the marketing department. Sieshi told Shumu that he and Chaunan were just friends, just like she and Jiangzhou. He then explained that he didn't come home that night because Chaunan's mother was sick in the hospital with no one to care for her. Her mother had always been good to him, so he stayed to help. Shumu felt it was normal that he didn't tell her since their relationship was fake. Shumu asked if Sieshe was there to find someone to marry, as the matchmaker said. If it was another fake relationship, she didn't have the time or energy. Saying this, Shumu started to leave, but Sieshe told her this time it wasn't an act. Sieshe asked Shumu if she dared to get the marriage certificate with him the next day. The next day, they both dressed up, took their household registration books, and went to the Civil Affairs Bureau to get their marriage certificate. Shumu called Song Nyanyan, saying this would be the last time she moved. Song Nyanyan told her that getting married could be impulsive, but she had to think carefully about divorce. If she didn't divorce in the future, this would indeed be the last time she moved. Sieshe took Shumu to work. As she got out of the car, Shumu noticed Sieshe's tie was crooked. She leaned into the driver's seat to fix it, and Zhao Yusi and a colleague saw this, secretly took a photo, and sent it to team leader Liao. Sheshe told Shumu he would have dinner and drink a little with colleagues in the evening. Shumu said it was fine, but not to drink too much. After saying this, she asked why he was telling her, as she couldn't control it. While Shumu was at work, she received a call from Sieshe's colleague saying he was drunk and insisted she come to pick him up. When Sieshe saw Shumu, he collapsed into her arms, and Shumu said he was pretending to be drunk. She put Sieshe on the bed and was about to get him a glass of water when he grabbed her hand, not letting her leave. Shani and Song Nyanyan were about to go out when Song Nyanyan received a call from her father saying her mother was not well and was in the hospital. Song Nyanyan was busy taking care of her parents, so Shani handled all her work affairs. Chumu asked Song Nyanyan and Shani what they were doing, staring so seriously at her and Sieshu. Song Nyanyan awkwardly said that her mother had already recovered and returned home for convalescence last week. Chumu mentioned that when she visited the hospital last time, Song Nyanyan's mother said she would stay a few more days. Song Nyanyan explained that her mother couldn't stop worrying about the flowers and plants on the balcony. Song Nyanyan then told Shumu and Sieshu that she had something to tell them. Shumu asked if it was about another anniversary. Shani took Song Nyanyan's hand and announced that they were planning to get married. Shumu was surprised at how quickly things were moving. Song Nyanyan said that after her mother's hospitalization, she realized that if she didn't marry Shani, it would be her lifelong regret. The four of them drank and chatted together, and eventually both Song Nyanyan and Shani got drunk. Shumu and Sheshu took them home, planning for Shumu to take care of Song Nyanyan and Sheshu to take care of Shani. However, Song Nyanyan and Shani insisted on sleeping together, so naturally, Shumu and Sheshu ended up sleeping together. Shumu mentioned that Song Nyanyan was restless in her sleep, and she thought Shani would definitely be pushed off the bed. Sieshu added that Shani was also a restless sleeper. Shumu claimed she slept the most peacefully, but the next morning she woke up clinging to Zieshu like an accessory. Sieshu gently moved Shumu's arm aside and got up to make breakfast. When Shumu opened the door, she saw that Sieshu had already prepared breakfast. She asked when he got up, and Sieshu said he had been up for half an hour. Shumu asked about Shani and Song Nyanyan, and Sieshu said they were still sleeping, but he had left breakfast for them. As they were eating, Sheshu kept receiving calls. He assured Shumu it wasn't a girl calling. Shumu told him to answer the phone, but Sieshu ignored the calls and texted the person not to call again. Shumu texted Sieshu saying she'd be home later but received no reply. When she called, there was no answer. When she got home, she found that Sieshu had a fever. Shumu asked why he was still so hot after taking medicine, and Sheshu said it was nothing serious. Shumu stayed by his side to take care of him. Early the next morning, Shumu got up to make breakfast. When Sheshu woke up and saw this, he felt very happy. Shumu asked him to taste her cooking, and Sheshu said it was quite good. Shumu asked why he didn't tell her he was sick, and Sheshu said he didn't want to worry her. Shumu told him to always inform her if something was wrong, and Sheshu nodded. Zieshu's father called him, but he didn't answer, so his father came to wait downstairs at his workplace. When Zieshu saw him, he asked if the money he gave him wasn't enough. His father said money didn't last long. Zieshu asked if he was gambling again, and his father said it would be the last time. Zieshu told him he wouldn't give him any more money. His father argued that he had raised him. Zieshu said he hadn't raised him at all. His father then took out a bracelet, saying he might not have raised Zieshu, but he had raised his mother. Hearing about his mother, Sheshu gave his father a bank card. His father snatched it and left. Shumu saw the whole exchange and called Sheshu's aunt to ask about it. His aunt told Shumu that Sheshu's father was a scoundrel who gambled all the time and used to beat Sheshu and his mother. She recounted Sheshu's tragic past. When Shumu returned home, she hugged Sheshu tightly. Shumu told Sheshu she knew it wasn't easy to be a good family member, but she wanted to try. At home, Shumu found an old school magazine with one of her articles. Just then, Sheshu returned, and Shumu asked why he still kept high school magazines. She asked what a particular sentence meant, and Sheshu asked why she always forgot. Sheshu then described their first meeting and their high school interactions in detail, revealing that he had liked Shumu since high school. Shumu remembered the day they met. Siesha said it was 12 summers ago when they first encountered each other. Siesha used to think fate was a one-way street, but after Shumu mentioned it was a circle, he had been waiting ever since. Shumu asked if he was waiting for the day they would meet again. Siesha replied that it was more than that. He wanted to make sure everything was perfect between them. Shumu said Song Nyanyan kept asking her if she liked Siesha, and she always denied it. Even after getting married to Sieshi, she couldn't admit it because she feared it was a false impression from spending so much time together or just her own wishful thinking. She disliked that uncertain feeling. Shumu said she had been waiting for the day Sieshi would tell her he liked her. She was glad he didn't make her wait too long. Sieshi walked over, grabbed Shumu, and kissed her. Shumu laughed, recalling how Shani said Sieshi had never been in a relationship before. Sheshu responded that he didn't know it was because of whom. Song Nyanyan looked at Shumu's social media post and said she didn't understand it. Shani glanced at it and said it probably didn't mean anything special, just something ordinary. Song Nyanyan insisted there was more to it and asked Shani if he dared to bet on it. Shani agreed to the bet. Song Nyanyan said if she won, the wedding photo shoot would be her call, and Shenyi accepted. Shumu and Sieshu bought a lot of things and returned home. Shumu asked Sieshu what they were having for lunch. Sieshu asked what she wanted, and Shumu suggested pork rib soup. As she spoke, Shumu hugged Sieshu from behind. Just then, Shenyi and Songnan Nyanyan arrived, quietly standing at the door, watching them. When Sieshu turned to kiss Shumu, he saw Shani and Song Nyanyan. Shumu asked why they were there, and Shani joked that they couldn't blame anyone but themselves for leaving the door unlocked. Shumu told Song Nyanyan that Sieshu had liked her for a long time. Song Nyanyan was surprised and said she didn't notice his secret crush. Song Nyanyan asked Shumu if her social media post was about Sieshu, and Shumu confirmed it. She said her starting point was also Sieshu's starting point. Song Nyanyan was thrilled that both of them could marry the people they loved. Sieshu told Shani he would be away for a few days and asked him to feed the cat, Mofang. Sieshu said he was taking Shumu back to his hometown because his father had mortgaged the house to pay off debts and he needed to retrieve his mother's belongings. Song Nyanyan and Shani discussed their wedding plans, deciding to have a grand celebration. Song Nyanyan then said she didn't want a traditional wedding anymore, which startled Shani, thinking she was having second thoughts. Song Nyanyan clarified that she wanted a destination wedding instead. They both agreed on going to Iceland to see the northern lights and taking photos at Lake Geneva. Shani enthusiastically agreed, saying he wanted to have many children with Song Nyanyan. Song Nyanyan said she wasn't ready for children yet and wanted to enjoy more freedom first. Chumu and Sieshu returned to Sieshu's hometown, where they met an old neighbor who was delighted to see Sieshu doing well, with a family and a successful career. After the neighbor left, Shumu suggested they start packing his mother's things. She asked why there were so few items, and Jieshu explained that his father had sold most of them. Just as they were talking, the neighbor returned with some food for them. The neighbor noticed a photo in Shumu's album with her silhouette and remembered the day Shumu had brought a cake. Coincidentally, on Sieshu's birthday. Shumu had given the cake to Sieshu's mother when she couldn't get one herself. Song Nyanyan and Shani had an argument, and Song Nyanyan went to stay at Sieshu's place. Shumu waited until Song Nyanyan fell asleep and then secretly went out to meet Sieshu. Shumu remarked that although they were married, it felt like they were sneaking around like lovers. Shumu helped Shani arrange a meeting with Song Nyanyan, and Shani managed to make up with her. Shumu was relieved to finally have some time alone with Sieshu. Shumu went home for the new year and video called Sieshu to chat. Shumu was putting up Spring Festival couplets at home while talking to Sieshu on the phone. She asked Sieshu what he was doing, and he said he was preparing food for Rubik. Sieshu gave red envelopes to his employees and told them that one of them was from the boss lady. Shumu received a call from Sieshu and he asked why she didn't reply to his messages. Shumu didn't know he had messaged her. She said she was just chatting in the family group. Shumu's mother happened to overhear their conversation and asked whether Jieshu was still not in the family group. Since they were all family now, she told Shumu to add Jieshu to the group. Shumu asked Jieshu if he heard that and told him to join the family group. She asked if he was okay with it, and Jieshu agreed to join. Shumu told him that her family was large and noisy, but Jieshu said it was no problem. So Shumu added Jieshu to the family group. Jieshu asked Shumu what he should say, and Shumu told him he could say anything. Before Jieshu even said a word, relatives in the family group started greeting him actively. Shumu's mother said she liked this child, Jieshu, more and more. Shumu's father tagged Jieshu in the group and said he was his son, telling him to update his note. After updating the note, Jieshu sent a big red envelope in the group. Shumu called him and asked why he sent such a large red envelope, saying they usually just send a few hundred yuan for fun. Jieshu said it's the new year and it only comes once. As he spoke, he transferred a big red envelope to Shumu. The next morning, when Shumu opened the door, she saw Jieshu. She asked why he came, and Jieshu asked if she didn't recognize him. Shumu's mother asked him if he wasn't planning to come and why he suddenly showed up. Jieshu said his aunt had a new boyfriend and was busy dating, so he didn't need to take care of her anymore. After the family finished eating, They took a family photo together. Sieshu and Shumu were watching a street interview on the rooftop when Shumu realized that Sieshu had also been there that day. Sieshu said he only found out later from the video that Shumu had also been there. He said that in unnoticed corners, the world had recorded their repeated encounters. As he said this, Sieshu knelt down and officially proposed to Shumu again. He personally put the ring on Shumu's finger. The two embraced happily. Shumu asked if he had deliberately made her take off the ring during her shower. Sieshu admitted that he had. Under the romantic lighting, the two kissed. Soon, 6 years had passed. Song Nyanyan and Shani were shopping at the supermarket with their son. Song Nyanyan told her son that there was no need to bring anything to visit Uncle Xie, but Huang Huang insisted that it's proper to bring a gift when visiting elders. Sieshu and Sumu came to celebrate Huang Huang's birthday. Huang Huang was very well behaved and felt extremely happy. Song Nyanyan asked Shumu when she would give Huang Huang a playmate. Shumu said she and Sieshu weren't ready yet and still wanted to enjoy their life as a couple. Song Nyanyan said she and Shani were going on a trip in a few days and would leave Huang Huang with Sieshu and Shumu. Shumu asked Huang Huang what he did besides homework, and he said he practiced piano and calligraphy. Shumu asked if he didn't play with toys or watch TV, and Huang Huang replied that those were things for little kids. Sieshu said he would teach him something suitable for both adults and children. The three of them started baking a cake together. After getting tired, Huang Huang went upstairs to sleep on his own. Shumu and Sieshu looked at the sleeping Huang Huang. Shumu thought he was adorable and felt that having a child at home might be nice. Shumu said she knew Sieshu didn't want children because of his father. Sieshu asked when he ever said he didn't want children. Shumu said she had heard him say he thought life as a couple was great. Sieshu explained that not wanting children right away wasn't because of his family background. He understood that childbirth was very hard on women, and having a child wasn't just his decision, it was something for both of them to decide. In the blink of an eye, Shumu and Sieshu's son had also grown up, and everyone continued living happily ever after.